Welcome to ankle stiffness part 2. This is a follow-up to my initial video on ankle stiffness where I cover things like what is ankle stiffness, why it matters, how it can help us, and a bit of an understanding of how we can develop and train that as well. If you haven't seen that, be sure to jump up here, click that video. That'll give you information to all of those and it'll help underpin your understanding of what I'm going on to talk about today. Today's video is going to be broken into two separate sections. Part 1, elastic plate hops. There's going to be a few different variations here, but generally they're quite a similar movement pattern, all orientated basically around working that calf Achilles foot complex, hopping on and off a plate, whether that be bilateral, double leg, unilateral, single leg, or some sort of alternating side to side there. I love elastic plate-based hops purely for the fact that they scale so well for all individuals. Going from a very beginner level athlete that hasn't really had any plyometric exposure, you're able to have them aim for a very small target and also mitigate some of that initial force on the landing there to be able to reload on the next jump, as well as all the way up to an advanced trainee who has the ability to jump out of the gym, and by raising that plate you're basically just increasing the ability for them to output jump power whilst keeping an appropriate landing height for what we're aiming to achieve here. Part 2 is going to be comprised of rebound jumps. So the difference between an Achilles elastic based plate hop, like in the part 1, versus the rebound jumps in part 2. The rebound jumps are going to be a lot more of a whole body lower limb sort of exercise where it's not just my calf Achilles foot complex that's really working, it is going to be my glutes all the way through down to my feet. So it's going to be a much more of a motor demand as well as a higher output exercise. I would generally only recommend and program these rebound jump exercises for intermediate to advanced level athletes as the motor control demands are much higher, but also for the fact that we want to obviously get as easy gains as we can. We want to achieve the best possible result, ideally with the least possible work. So aiming for that low-hanging fruit makes much more sense than basically jumping the gun and going straight to sort of rung 10 on the ladder and losing out on all this potential gain on 1 through 9 there. And at that point, once we've gone to too far of a metric there, or we've gone more advanced than we need to, those earlier stages of progression are basically skipped and we're not going to get the same result from them that we would if we hadn't have skipped between those earlier stages. Drill number 1, rebound box jump. This movement requires not just ankle stiffness, but whole lower limb stiffness. If I have any slack in my legs, I'm going to know about it when I hit the ground, as I won't be able to explosively bounce off and get back to the top of that box. The idea here is that as short of a ground contact time as possible is desirable, and that's what we're working towards. Nice quick landing, staying nice and stiff, rebounding straight off that ground. An analogy I like to give here is a very pumped up basketball. When you dribble it, it's just going to spring right off that floor compared to a semi-inflated one that's going to kind of sag and half bounce. We want to take the slack out, i.e. the pumped ball, and be able to just bounce off that floor nice and smoothly. Drill number 2, a plate rebound single leg hop. This is actually a drill I've taken off another coach. This is a PJF performance drill, which I have come to love. It's a very similar avenue to the rebound box jumps I touched on a moment ago, but this is much more focused on just the calf Achilles foot complex there. As you can see, I'm not really getting a whole lot of my leg muscles involved. Again, they're staying stiff, they're keeping taut, they're providing adequate tension downstream to that calf Achilles tib anterior complex there, but it's not overpowering the movement. This isn't a jump as much as a hop. Hop, nice springy, bouncy. A jump is a much more of a loaded, big power movement, and that's what I want to avoid here. I'm trying to just effortlessly spring between those little steps there. With any of these drills, I find that sets and reps can be completely arbitrary. What might be challenging for one person may be comically easy for another. So I like to set either time periods where I give you, say, 30 seconds to achieve as many good quality reps as you can. What that allows you to do is, obviously, if the challenge isn't too high, you get more of an extensive exposure to that stimulus. But if the challenge is quite hard and quite difficult for you, you're able to basically, within that time period, self-select when the quality drops to a point that is not ideal / detrimental, that you can finish the set there. So there's no sort of, oh, I've got 10 reps here, I've got to 8, but my quality's dropped, oh, I've only got 2 more, I'll just finish it. The idea is that you're self-selecting for quality, like quality work over all. That being said, we're aiming to stimulate, not annihilate. A good spot to start with a lot of these drills, whether that be section 1 with the plate hops or section 2 with the rebound style hops, is something like 1 to 3 sets of about 30 seconds there. That gives you enough autonomy to be able to scale within. If something feels quite challenging but also quite good, I'm able to scale up to that 3 sets. If I'm performing one and it doesn't feel very good, or I feel like I'm getting nothing out of it, I may be able to scale down to 1. Building that into the sort of system of how I'm implementing and how I'm programming there allows you to basically scale based on how you feel on the day, as well as what you're actually getting feedback-wise from the exercise itself. Improving your lower limb control and ankle stiffness is going to give you more elastic energy back from those ground contacts, which is going to allow you to run faster and jump higher. If you want to see a part 3 with a few more follow-up videos, or maybe a bit more of an explanation into how I view ankle stiffness and what I use specifically to train for it equipment-wise, let me know down below. As always, guys, appreciate the support immensely. If you want to give it a like down below, subscribe, all very much appreciated. Let me know down below what your favorite plyometric drills are, or what sport you play, and I might be able to put up a specific video for those sports and to be able to tailor something to what you guys want to see. As always, keep training, embrace the chase.